Hello, everyone. It is Self-Care Sunday. Oops, let's put on the YouTube camera. We got the YouTube going here, but I had a black screen going there. How about now? Let's start Self-Care Sunday on YouTube. We are broadcasting tonight on both Facebook and YouTube. How are you tonight? How are you this self-care Easter Sunday? Easter Sunday tonight. How are you today? Tell me about your day. Tell me what you are grateful for this Sunday night. Ooh, let me get my other screen up here so I have my big screen up for so I can see it. Hey, Adele and Dazzle are here. Dazzle and the Pets of Resale. It is treat time. Treat time, I tell you. It is good to have everybody here tonight. How's your weekend? How are you doing? Did you send those snow squalls through this afternoon, Adele? I mean, we had some snow squalls come through here. We're like, what the heck? We've had every weather conceivable today. We have had cold, we've had rain, we've had snow squalls, we've had sun and really hot and had to open the doors because it got so hot in windows. So we've had it all today. Every bit of weather. Everything but fire and brimstone, I think. Everything but fire and brimstone. But it is good to have you all here today. Hey, Kelly, happy Easter to you. How are things in Albuquerque tonight? How are things with you in Albuquerque? Great to have you here live tonight. Tomorrow's Dazzle Sweet 16. All right, extra treats for Dazzle. Woo! Dazzle. On tax day this year. Happy birthday, Dazzle. Well, that's going to deserve an extra post. You're supposed to have snow. Parts of our state, parts of Connecticut are supposed to have snow tomorrow. Hopefully, it will not affect my planes tomorrow. I'm flying again tomorrow, so hopefully we won't have any travel delays. I don't like sitting around an airport more than I have to. It is sort of the way I roll with that. As I mentioned at the top, we are broadcasting tonight on both Facebook and YouTube. Any problems with Facebook? Cassandra's got the link right there in the show comments to take you on over to YouTube. We actually all worked today. The stores were closed, but we actually all worked today. Rebecca swapped for some other days off, and Lego was open, and so she worked today and had a very light work day, probably for double, triple overtime, knowing the folks at Lego. And Cassandra and I are like, we got a lot to do, and so we'll get stuff done today too, especially since I'm going to be on the road through the end of the month. Hey, Leanne, great to have you here live tonight. Great to have you join us live tonight. Happy Easter to you. I hope you had a great day. Happy Easter. Happy Passover to everyone. We got the holidays converging at the same time this year. So Easter and Passover all happening together here. So whichever way you celebrate, however you celebrate, or if you just want to party, you just want an excuse to party, we'll go with that. We will go with that. Whatever works for you. But certainly a lot of religious significance this weekend. So, and it was my brother-in-law's birthday. We had that this weekend too. I was not in Texas to celebrate that, but he had a good time. Let's get started, folks, with the Stay Positive book, because I know it is Sunday, and you guys have had a long day already. Tonight, in the Stay Positive book, we are on page 60. Don't be afraid to fail when you are striving to be great. It's growth from failures combined with grit, belief, drive, and passion that leads to greatness. A big part of grit is knowing that outside circumstances and people have no power over you. No power, I tell you. You create your world from the inside out. That is the truth, people. It all starts up here. It all starts up here with you and your mindset. It all starts with you and your mindset. And what are you going to let? That's why I tell you not to let too much news into your cycle. Don't get bogged down with the news is the way that I want you to be smart, but don't get bogged down with it. The news thrives on the negative. So I want you to know what's happening in the world, but I do not want you to stress over it. And I don't want you to worry about stuff you can't control. This is where we kick off and we start from here. We start from where you are. Michelle, how are you? You were on my tomorrow list, young lady. You were on my tomorrow list. I think I slotted you for around 10 a.m. Tomorrow. You even made the calendar. The calendar, Michelle. It is great to have you here from Virginia. Great to have you here. I hope all is well with you. I hope you had a spectacular Easter. I love this quote from Simon tonight. To be innovative, we can't look to what others have done. The whole idea of blazing a path is that there was no path there before. Think about that. To be innovative, we can't look to what others have done. The whole idea of blazing a path is that there was no path there before. And that is the truth. I often say it another way, so often you ladies want to compare yourself to some other store or this version of somebody else on Facebook. You might as well be comparing yourself to the Kardashians and everything. You're comparing your back room to somebody else's front room. And I will tell you, there is little truth in that. And you got to blaze your own path and beat your own self and do better than you've done before. That is what it is all about. Hey, Kitty, how are you today? Happy Easter to you. Hope all is well with you. And let's not forget, folks, tomorrow is Dazzle's birthday. So we do not want to forget that. We do not want to forget poor Dazzle here. Hey, Rose, good to have you here tonight. I love this, that Spirit Halloween, when, sometimes you have to make your own news. Spirit Halloween, the Halloween stores, the pop-up seasonal Halloween stores, that some of you may not know, from the olden days, they're actually owned by Spencer Gifts. So they're actually owned by the old mall store Spencer Gifts. And they have a new movie coming out this fall, just in time for anybody? Halloween, that's right. A family movie adventure called Spirit Halloween. It stars Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future and Rachel Lee Cook from She's All That. And is set for an October release. And it takes place in, of all places, a Spirit Halloween. So they've created a whole movie. They're taking a pitch right from Lego and everything else. They've created a whole movie about going to Spirit Halloween and the behind the scenes, the ghostly ghouls of Spirit Halloween. Can it be really any worse than anything else that Hollywood puts out? Julie's into Halloween movies. Julie Chenkowitz is with us, folks. Hey, Julie, great to have you here tonight from Illinois. But yes, that will be interesting. Overall, retail sales did inch up in March amid inflation. Online sales have taken a slight dip. Consumers have kept spending in March despite record inflation, supply chain issues, and geopolitical unrest. I love it. I don't love that, but I love how that term just rolls off the tongue. They're unchanged seasonally adjusted from February, but up 4% year over year in February. Sales were down month over month, but up 13.2% year over year. There's so many contradictory numbers in this report. Key sectors: clothing and accessory stores rose 2.6%, furniture stores 0.7%, general merchandise 5.4%, online sales fell 6.4%, and building and garden supply stores were only up 0.5%. But I thought it was a great idea, Rose. I thought that holiday idea. I mean, you've got a movie that writes itself, the Fashion Safari, Rose. Rose, think of your movie. You got a movie that writes itself, the Fashion Safari. I just think they're on a safari. We're on Jungle Cruise, and lo and behold, we stop in at the Fashion Safari. Uh, it really, there are all sorts of movies that write itself in this business, and I think it's interesting. It will be interesting to see On the Hunt. On the Hunt. See, you're writing it. You're writing it as we talk about. But it's funny because I talk all the time about writing your own story. You're in charge of your script of your store, and so seeing what Spirit Halloween is doing, and the folks at Spencer's, back in the day, I remember in in the days of the mall where you'd spend and they'd have all the gag gifts and everything else. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that movie plays out, and quite honestly, we can use some just dumb laugh family entertainment. The world needs just a good sit back and decompress laugh. So that is not necessarily a bad thing. Cheaper donuts, free gas cards, and more. Retailers and restaurants are wooing consumers who are feeling pain at the pump. Krispy Kreme, Bojangles, and Walmart's Sam's Club are among the companies that are picking up on Americans' pain at the pump. Some companies are dangling fuel-related discounts or perks to try to drive more foot traffic and sales as inflation weighs on consumers' wallets. They are doing all sorts of things. Walmart, Sam's, BJ's, and Costco have all rolled out promotions to promote their cheaper gas as a key membership benefit. Bojangles began at $1 million in gas gift cards last week, which, to help people with inflation. And other stores are doing similar to drive traffic. Krispy Kreme Donuts will price a dozen of its flavored donuts on Wednesday to match the national average of gas. So on Wednesdays, you can get a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts for the price of a gallon of gas for the national average. That sounds good to me. I like a dozen donuts. That get me to drive. Well, I don't have any Krispy Kremes around here, but I am a sucker for. I like the donuts right off the line, right as they come off. But some of those same things about gas are give-me's that employers are doing as well. Okay, having gas card raffles and such are things that businesses are doing for employees to just take the psychological. A lot of this is psychological. You gotta keep in mind. All right, Krispy Kreme by Michelle. You got to keep in mind that a lot of the gas prices are psychological. It is true that gas prices are higher. Okay, that's not lying. But people are still driving less than they did a couple of years ago. Even the ones that are going back in the office are only going in the office a couple times a day. Their net spending on gas, and most people don't track it. I can tell you exactly how much I spend on gas during any given month of the year. For any given year, I can tell you, I got gas records going back decades. But most people don't have those kind of records to compare to. All they know is that it's more. Okay, they were filling up at $40, and now it costs them $60 to fill up, and that's real money. But the overall effect on the average family is still small from that. But overall inflation, the cost of everything going up, is affecting people. But like they say, consumers which drive the economy, are still shopping. Okay. And when that stops, or slows down, then we have to look at some of the problems with that. But right now, the American consumer is still in the driver's seat, still shopping and still spending money. $3.96 for Michelle on gas last month. Well, you're driving all over the place. You're going to that Shenandoah Valley. Shenandoah Valley, Michelle. That's not cheap. The grocery is more depressing than gas, and people are making subtle adjustments there. They are making adjustments to make that work. And it's not at the retail level. And as I've been analyzing stores lately and foot traffic, transaction levels are still doing a decent amount. We are going to have to talk about inventory in the coming weeks, because that is, for some stores that I've been analyzing lately, been an issue. So we need to talk about that and how inventory is directly relating to some of the sales issues that I'm seeing with some stores. But that's just something we got to keep an eye on. So tonight I told you we were going to continue our employee discussion on the stretch. And I don't mean, Neil's stretching here. Doing my yoga stretch. Okay, hang on for Kelly. I'm doing my tree pose. That's about all you're going to get from me on yoga. There. I am not limber. I don't think you're going to get me. But I'm glad April is picking up for you, Kelly. I'm glad April's picking up, and I'm generally seeing across the country. I'm generally seeing good first quarter. Nice moves. All right, Molly. All right. I'm generally seeing across the country a decent first quarter, or reasons I can find why it's not decent, and a good start to the second quarter. So as we're halfway through April here, we are making progress. But it is cooler. I mean, like I was talking about earlier, there are lots of areas that are expecting snow tomorrow. I mean, Adele is talking about snow for her in Michigan. Parts of Connecticut are expecting snow. We had snow squalls today, which was just crazy out of nowhere. I couldn't see the house across the street. It was just nuts. I was standing right here at my desk and I'm looking out, and all of a sudden I'm like, is that snow? And it just whited out for a couple minutes. So it is just crazy. It is just crazy what's going on. But you also have to keep in mind some of the consumer money is also now going to experiences. Like this year, today was probably the most normal Easter since 2019. Okay, the most normal Easter since 2019. People went and visited with people. People went out to brunch. And they are doing things. So people are doing things. I think it's going to be like that for Mother's Day, very much so. Normally, Mother's Day is a dud day for us. Last year we were busy, but this year I think people are going to be doing brunches and other things like they normally do on that day. You got sunburned today, Rose. Well, I got to get down to I'm going to be down where you are at the end of the week. I'm all over the place this week. I'm on the road starting tomorrow. As long as the planes can get out with the snow, I'm on the road again tomorrow. As long as the planes can get out, I will be on the road tomorrow. But let's talk about the stretch. Not me stretching, okay? Stretch goals for your employees and rewarding your employees for hitting stretch goals. Because hitting goals, okay, whatever they may be in your business, whatever the goal is for the employee, for the department, for the role, okay, it's not about the person, it's about the role or the department within the company that they're in. Not about Susie. It's not about Susie. And that's important to keep in mind. Okay, we're not creating a goal for Susie. We're creating a goal for the role that Susie is in. And so stretch goals are easiest to think. I'm going to talk about it about sales, but you can do this. I just worked with a store last week, and was it last week, week before, we were working on it for their processing team and hitting goals on inventory processing. So we needed to hit some goals on inventory processing, and we were creating a stretch goal system. So, you know, it has to be based in reality. So you have to have a basis point. So a great basis for creating goals at this point is really, you can use 2021 or 2019 figures, depending on where you are in the country and depending on where your store is in your recovery. Okay. You could either, 2020 numbers don't matter, worth nothing. But for a lot of stores at this point, 2021 numbers are relevant, especially as we head into the second quarter. Looking at them, for other stores, you still need to look at 2019 numbers. But you're starting with a level of reach, okay? And based on what you're doing, so you want to grow sales. So we talk about growing that by 10%, and there's a reward level for 10%, and another level at 15 or 20%, okay? And maybe another level at 25%. You know, this is following what we call the 5-star system, okay, where you have 5 levels of goals. And you may start it at 10%, you may start it at 15%. You want it to be achievable. But the reward gets bigger, okay, as the percentage of growth goes up, okay? But you want it to be achievable. Think of goal setting in this way. When we talk about stretch goals, what's a stretch goal? Okay, you want them to have to do stuff on their own. You want them to have to reach for it. And a good analogy for that is teaching your kids to swim. Okay, and when you teach your kid to swim, okay, and you're like at the other side of the pool, and I'm all the way here at the other side of the pool, and I say, Rebecca, swim to me. Okay. And she says, come a little closer, Daddy. And I come a little closer. And I say, come on, swim to me. And she says, come a little closer, Daddy. Okay, and I come a little closer. And she said, and I say, swim to me. Come a little closer. And all of a sudden, I'm right there, right next to her. Swim to me. Well, that's not a stretch goal. Okay, you want somewhere between where they are, okay, where they currently are, and the other side of the pool. Not so far that they're going to drown, okay, that you can't get to them before they drown, but enough that it gives them some room for growth. It gives them some incentive to try to figure out how to get from here to there. And you can set these goals any number of ways, okay? Part of it is getting buy-in from your team, okay? Buy-in from the team and the roles that have to achieve this. Because sometimes they can't wrap their head around things. They can't wrap some store teams can't wrap their head around dollars, okay? And that stresses them out more than helps them. Other teams can't wrap their head around the daily sale, but they can wrap their hands around average transaction. All these metrics get you there. So whether your goal is total sales, whether your goal is average transaction, whether your goal for stretch is units per transaction, because you only need just a tiny change in that to drive things forward. But when you create these levels, you can have all different kinds of rewards. I've had stores do gift cards. I've had stores do store credit to the store. I've had stores earn cash. The reward, the nice thing is this pays for the stretch. So all these rewards, okay, you're only paying for, unlike a salary, if you raise their salary, if you raise their hourly wage, you're paying that all the time, whether they make the stretch or not. You might as well be right next to them in the pool. Okay. But with the stretch goal, okay, with a stretch goal, you're asking them to stretch. Okay. If they win, you win. The store wins. Okay. That is the whole idea around the stretch, and you can use it in because resale is such a metric intensive business. Okay, it's a numbers business. It is all about inventory and getting the right amount of inventory, in the door, process, price, displayed on the floor and out the door. So you can use this in all aspects of the business. And a lot of stores do it based on the team that worked that day. So if it's an overall sales goal for the store, everybody that worked that day earns a point based on where the goal was. If they hit the 10% goal, everybody gets 1 point. Okay. If they hit the 15% goal, everybody gets 2 points. If they hit the 20% goal, everybody gets 3 points. They hit the 25% goal, everybody gets 4 points. Okay. If they hit the 30% goal, everybody gets 5 points. Okay. It's boom, bonus mania. Okay. And you add up your points for the month, and based on the total number of points they earn, they get a bonus, either any of those things: store credit, gas cards, grocery store gift cards, anything that will restaurant out. Because again, if you're hitting these goals, you are winning as a store, and you are winning because you are not locked into this. That is the idea behind creating bonuses and goals. You are not locked into it. That's why Wall Street bankers get big bonuses. Okay, the bonuses sound crazy, but Wall Street isn't locked into them. Okay, so you can play that and incentivize your people, incentivize your team to grow and stretch. Again, we're stretching here because we want them to be uncomfortable, but feel attainable. Okay, and create an environment where they can do it. But you have to have some buy-in, but it's for that role, whether it's sales, whether it's processing, whichever way you do it. But that is some of the creative ways people are doing it to bonus their teams and give their people an opportunity to have more. Many stores, the store credit does work. Giving people, bonusing them with store credit is a valid thing because they are shoppers. But right now, with where inflation is, sometimes that little bit of extra cash really goes a long way. It doesn't have to be a lot to have a big impact. It doesn't have to be a lot to have a big impact. And your costs go down. Your costs do not increase as much as giving everybody $1 raise or a 50-cent an hour raise or a $2 raise. So incentivizing them and bonusing them in this way creates a lot of loyalty, creates different ways of doing things. And I've had stores that had different mixes of gift cards at different levels. So if a team member earned 60 points this month, they could get from this block. Right, and more, right, doing the 5-star program and offering more in store credit than in cash is one way of doing it. You can make it all relative, and most people will choose the store credit, but there are times like now where inflation is high where they might still choose the cash. And it is a more sustainable approach. It is a more sustainable approach than the inflation cycle of just giving raises. But they have to have buy-in, and they have to be doing it for more. They have to be working it. They have to be working the goals. They should be able to tell you where they are at any time on a goal. Okay, if you call in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they should be able to tell you we're already at 2 stars and we're headed for 5. Okay, they should be able to tell you that at any given time. If they can't, the goal needs to shift because they're not on the buy-in isn't there. So that is an important metric and an important way of looking at it to help grow your team by helping them stretch. And then you're not in it. Then they're incentivized for that little bit of extra service, that little bit of extra touch, getting that extra earrings or that matching piece that goes with it. You're selling a dish set, selling the serving pieces too. Selling an outfit, selling the blazer that matches it. All these different things. People want complete. People want service. Okay, I went shoe shopping this weekend, which I fully admit I am not a great shoe shopper. I'm probably not a great shopper for anything. I'm not a great buyer. But I am when I'm getting great service. And there was this shoe shop in the area, that I've been to before that's supposed to be phenomenal service and everything. And you go in and you take a number like you're at the deli counter. And then you get a salesman who's supposed to help you, but they're really just an order taker. They're just there to take your order. What do you want for a shoe? What do you think you want? What size are you? Everything else. And I knew I needed better shoes. And Cassandra's like, well, we're going to go try this place. And it was a completely different experience. It was a completely different experience. It was full service. They started me out on this computer thing, which measured my feet and showed things. And I'm like, this is kind of this is going to be kind of hokey and everything else. You're just using the computer. Then they measured me. Then they measured my arch. And I've never had anybody measure my arch. And instead of bringing me 50 shoes to try on, he brought me one pair. He's like, you're going to really love these. And you're going to love these. And I was like, holy moly, these are really comfortable. And, it ended out like, okay, I'm like, do you have a slightly different color? And he's like, yeah, I got these in a different color. And he went back and got them in a different color. And both Cassandra and I ended up with shoes in different sizes than we had bought previously, with inserts that we'd never bought before, with all this stuff, having a full service time there. We walked out between both of us with 6 pairs of shoes. And they were not cheap shoes. And it wasn't even a question. It wasn't even about, I didn't question the dollars at all because it was what we needed. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We can talk about that a little bit tomorrow when we talk, Michelle. Molly, yes. I have sales goals and processing goals run concurrently, but I have separate processors and salespeople. Okay, so you may or may not work in your environment. I think you have separate processors. Usually your best processors are lousy salespeople. Okay, in general in this business, your best processing people are lousy customer people. They can functionally do it. They know how to go through the motions, but they're just doing the motions. And your best salespeople are lousy processing people. Your best salespeople are lousy processors. Again, they can go through the motions, but they can't do it. Hey, Carrie, happy Easter to you. So, it's 2 different blocks and 2 different mentalities. And I know in a smaller store, you have to do it, and you have to wear your processing hat and your sales customer service hat on. And what I argue with that is do that in blocks of time so that you can get your best out of processing and your best out of sales floor coverage, because trying to do them all together just doesn't work as efficiently and as well as you would like it to be. So that is the way I do talk about that. And it is true. I mean, and I love my people, but they each bring different skills. We've had times where we've had store people help out with my processing people because we were either backed up or because like I remember one time when we lost power and we had some of the store people help out the processing people. I'm like, but it just was like, when are these people? They wanted to wring their necks. When are they going home? They were there to help. But, they were talking and doing, and my processing people like their headphones in, and they are just doing. And it's not that they aren't nice people. It's not that they're not sociable. It's just when they are focused on their work, they are focused on their work. And they are hitting their goals. So they are, but it's very different what they can focus on for goals, okay? It took some time to find a number that they liked for goal focus. Wasn't an instantaneous thing. It overwhelms them to think of how many items they process, even though they process them all. Okay, but they can work from baskets and how many bags they are, how many days outstanding they are. They can work with all that, which all rolls up into the other metrics, so it's fine. But they don't like the initial, the actual item count stresses them, which is fine. That's fine. But it's knowing the pain points and what will drive them versus what will stress them. So it takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of practice, but you can really drive goals. But that's where we talk about the goals for the role. The goals for the role, not the goal for the person. Okay, and work on it from that perspective. Even though a real person does fill that role, we're talking about the goal for the role, people. The goal for the role. You know what else we talk about? Well, your goal for sorting is ultimately the same. It's about how many racks and everything else. I mean, I know you're buy outright, Kitty, so we don't want to incentivize bad buys. But the end result of that, okay? There's a metric. There's a metric to it, okay? Of you're going through 10 items to get 2 or 3 good ones. Okay, they have to go through so many. Okay, it's almost how many did they reject? But I do understand, especially where you're buy outright, we don't want to incentivize bad buying. We don't want to incentivize bad buying. But we do need that inventory to get to the floor because that's what drives everything else. So it is a combination of things. You know what else is a good combination? This video and everything I talk about. This video and everything I talk about goes over to narcs.org/resale strong by noon the next day. Everything I talk about, all the files, all the links, including a direct link to the YouTube channel. You're not alone running this store where you can like, comment, subscribe, and oh yes, you can ring the bell. Ring that bell so you know when another one drops. You can also share it with all your friends in business, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, so we can help everybody make it and thrive in the after times. I am here every Sunday and Wednesday at more 8 than ish. I will be probably very late this Wednesday and then off next Sunday. We're celebrating Rebecca's birthday next Sunday. And probably the following Wednesday, I'm traveling the 27th as well. So just keep that in mind. A little show changes over the next couple of weeks because I am on the road through the rest of the month. And so, hey, Michelle, I appreciate you watching that. But if you have a question in between, even if on days that I'm missing, you can just email me. Neil, Neil, at ECIstores.com, Neil at ECIstores.com. We start this program every night with the Stay Positive book. Stay positive, people. Tonight, we're on page 60. Don't be afraid to fail when you are striving to be great. It's growth from failures combined with grit, belief, drive, and passion that lead to greatness. A big part of grit is knowing that outside circumstances and people have no power over you. You create your world from the inside out. Fear is the number one thing that keeps you from your destiny, but it has no power in the presence of love. Love casts out fear. Fear is weak. Love is strong. Don't fear it. Love it. If you love it, you won't fear it. There you go, people. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Neil Abrams, and I do like a good party, a wedding, a bar mitzvah even. We will party again. We will party in person. 50-something days away till NARTS conference in June in Charlotte. I'm going to be there. I hope you are too. But until then, and until Wednesday night at more-ish than 8, Wednesday night at more-ish than 8, know that you, but most importantly you, yes you, you're not alone running this store. Have a great night, everybody. It's time for dessert. I'll see you on Wednesday.